Hey guys, so we've done a lot of talk about the Switch recently, obviously because of the presentation, everything happening, but I realized a lot of you guys are looking into buying the Switch, much like I am, where I've, at this point, have my pre-order in, and I'm basically ready for day one to show up, get the system, games, probably accessories, like I said, and go through it. But I haven't really talked to you guys about the accessories that I'll be getting and the ones you should look into getting yourself day one, depending on budget, obviously. And I'll kind of give you an idea of what the most important ones are for you and what to get depending on what your situation is. So the first accessory you absolutely need to get, and if you don't have it yet, I would at least start researching. You're going to need a micro SD card. Now, the micro SD card is basically going to be the system's hard drive at this point. Much like how the PS4 and Xbox One have a hard drive, you need a storage device for the Switch. They have deemed the micro SD card as the storage device, so that's what you're going to need to get. But I've been seeing a lot of stuff go around online about what SD card do I get, and I don't blame you. There's a lot of SD cards out there to pick from, but the thing about the Switch is it uses basically certain types of SD cards, and you want a certain speed on them as well. Now, I'm very fortunate because I've been buying micro SD cards for a while. In fact, the camera that I'm recording on right now is using a micro SD card to record. So I have a good bit of experience with what SD cards to get, the quality, the branding, and I can give you guys an example of SD cards. So I will show you actually the same micro SD card that I'm going to buy. But first, I'm going to show you guys a micro SD card that is more budget oriented. The one I'm going to get is higher quality, it's faster. See, whenever I deal with storage space, and I've done this for a long time, ever since I was younger, when I bought cheap hard drives and they died, I always told myself, listen, save up, get the better product, because all your stuff is going on there more than likely. I mean, you could probably keep saved games on the 32 gigs of the system, but I mean, let's be honest, I don't want this micro SD card dying when I'm playing a game if my saves are on there. So this is the card I would buy if you're budget oriented, you have a certain limit that you can spend. And this is something I would buy probably next month in February because they're already going to be using these type of SD cards. And that one that I'm going to show you is the Samsung 128 gig, 80 megabytes read Evo Select. Now let me back up a little bit so you guys can kind of understand what the micro SD cards, types, and read-write speeds and everything are. So basically Nintendo has moved their micro SD cards. They're using the SDXC micro SD card type, and they're doing that because you need large storage. The kind of the older one, the SDHC, I still have a few of those here. Those were good up to 32 gigabytes, and that was fine for a while. Honestly, you can record video on that, no problem. 1080p video, that's fine. But when we started getting into 4K video, you need big SD cards because 4K video is huge. So what do? We invent a new micro SD card type because that's what we do. So we end up with the SDXC that runs on exFAT now, which gives us access to larger amounts of data. So that's why we now have 128, 256, 512 terabyte. I mean, the Switch can use up to a 2 terabyte micro SD card. Is it practical right now? Absolutely not. You cannot buy a 2 terabyte micro SD card at all. 1 terabytes I think are theoretical right now. They do have some out there. 512 is very expensive. Even 256 is very expensive. The most cost-effective amount right now for the quality is 128 gigabytes. So the Samsung Evo Select I'm showing you guys here right now, it's a 128 gig micro SD card. It's $40. That's really not that bad, to be honest, because at that point you're paying right around 31 to 32 cents per gig. I've always been good with Samsung. Their brand of micro SD card has never failed me. I've had good experience with it. Their read-write speeds aren't bad. This particular one for $40 has an 80 megabyte read speed. That's 80 megabytes a second. Now, it's not going to matter too much when you're playing a game for like seeing data transfers or anything, but you can rest assured that the game that's going to be reading from there will read. That 80 megabytes would not bottleneck your system for read from that card. Now, the write speed on it's a little lower. It's 20 megabytes a second. Again, you're only going to be writing back on occasion. You're not writing back a lot. Like when you save a game, you'll write back to it. When you download a game, put it on the system, you're writing back to it. But unless your internet speed is going to eclipse that, you're probably okay. It's not a big deal. Now, I think for the future, it's worth getting a faster card just in case, because if you don't cheap out, and I won't say $40 cheap, obviously, but if you spend more money and you get a better card that's a little more future-proof, that's higher quality, you may be happier with it down the road. And that's where my card comes into play. Again, you guys in no way need to buy this card. The $40 one is probably fine. I just like to say, you know what, spend the extra money, get the better card. In this case, I'm talking about the Samsung 128 gigabyte, 95 megabytes per second Reed Pro Select Micro SDXC card. This is the card used for 4K recording because it does have that ability. I've used these several times for what you're seeing now, and they work great. Reliability is good. I've used these cards a lot now. In fact, I have 2 of them. Never had an issue with either one of them, and I've recorded quite a few videos at this point. The other reason I like this card a lot is the write speed is significantly higher than the one I just showed you. It is a 90 megabyte write speed. And again, it's not really going to affect things, I don't think, too much, but obviously it's nicer to have it at that peak rather than 20, just in case. I mean, you never know. You want to have a faster card if you can. Already the read speed's at 95 megabytes per second, which is great. So I recommend, if you're going to get a storage device for your Switch, which you pretty much have to, it has to be a micro SD card, I would get a 128 gigabyte card. We've already seen the file size of Zelda is 13.4 gigabytes. I think that's going to be bigger than a lot of the Switch games. I'd be shocked, honestly, if Mario Kart was anywhere near that. It'll probably be less. So you're probably okay. Most of us, like myself, are going to buy games physically. You don't really need to worry about that then. If you're going to be buying a lot of physical games, you could probably get away with like a 32 or 64 gig SD card and use the 32 gigs on board. This is more for download games. So next thing, obviously, that I'm going to buy is the Pro Controller. I've talked about it several times. I would like to have that console experience, obviously, of when I have it plugged into my TV. I was used to the old Pro Controller. The new one looks like an evolved form of it, essentially, and it looks great. It kind of has that clear look to it. It's interesting, but from what I've seen, everyone at the events say it has like this rubber, kind of this grip to it and everything, and it just, everyone said it feels great. So yes, I will get the Pro Controller as well while I'm there. That one's going to set me back $70. So far I have a micro SD card that's around $76, and then I have a Pro Controller that's at $70. And a lot of people don't know this, but the grip that comes with the system in there for the Joy-Cons, that does not actually charge the Joy-Cons. Now, this has been some weird misinformation being passed around. From what we can all tell at this point, it's just the plastic grip. And you can buy a plastic grip for $15. It does not actually charge the Joy-Cons, though. They do have a charge kit, though, basically. It's that same one, just with a battery in it, and they do sell that one for $30. Because I'm getting the Pro Controller, I don't really feel the need, personally, to get the charge kit right away. Now, if you're going to be getting just the Joy-Con and passing on the Pro Controller, get the Joy-Con charge grip. Like I said, I won't be getting it because I have the Pro Controller, but if you want to save essentially $40 and just use your Joy-Cons all the time, get the charge kit. And it's really not bad at $30, considering the play and charge kit for the Xbox One is $25. That's not so bad. Although if you do end up with an extra set of Joy-Cons, maybe you buy them at launch as well, so you want 4 controllers total, I would pass on the Joy-Con charge grip, and I would actually get the Joy-Con charge station at the same price of $30, only because that will then charge all 4 controllers at once. You just put them in there when you're done, and it'll give you a place to put your Joy-Cons when you're done. I know a lot of people like to put them on the system, but if you end up with 2 extras, you don't really have anywhere to put them, right? So I would get the dock, and that gives you a place to put all 4 of them when you're done, system's off, and it'll charge while you're not playing. So basically when you get there and you can play, the Joy-Cons supposedly have up to 20 hours of life, you're fine. Moving on from there, the stand that is being shown everywhere from, I believe it's Ori, but it's going to be officially licensed as well by Nintendo, I think is a must if you're going to be taking the tablet with you, because of course you can't charge when it is in the stand mode. And keep in mind, with the stand mode, I believe you only have 1 real angle for it to be played at, whereas it looks like with the stand, you'll have up to 3. So you can have like a very flat one with a slight angle higher and then almost standing all the way up, which is good because then if you get a reflection, you can kind of play around with it to get it figured out. And then, of course, you can still charge it while it's on the stand. I don't know how much the stand is. I assume, I'm just going off of my best judgment. That was a bad idea last time though, because I pegged some of these accessories as being cheaper, but based on like what the actual grip is, just the plastic grip, based on what the wheels are priced at, I would say that the stand hopefully is $20. And I think that's a no-brainer. Like I said, if you're traveling with it, or even if you just want to be at home and you want to have different angles, not a bad idea. I won't be getting the stand at launch though. I'm going to play this at home a lot. It's going to be mostly in the dock a lot too, because I'm going to be probably streaming it a lot. So I'll be passing on the stand right now as well, and probably the Joy-Con charge kits also, because again, I'm getting the Pro Controller. So far, my accessory total is about $146 from what I can tell. That's not terrible. Not terrible. When I bought the PS3 back in the day, I did get an extra controller, and that set me back another, I think, $60. So far I'm okay, because the PS3 then was $660, and then I bought some game. I don't even, I think MotorStorm, something, I don't know. But yeah, so I spent almost $700 at the PS3 launch. If you're going to be traveling and you're going to be basically passing on that stand, I would also recommend, there's actually pretty cool on PowerA side. It's called the Nintendo Switch Hybrid cover. It's also on GameStop's website. And if you consider like the iPad, where you have that cover that covers over, you could open it up and then you have it to stand it up several different ways. They're also making that for the Switch. It's $25. So if you want to keep the screen covered, kind of walk with it like a tablet, and then also get those viewing angles, that's also not a bad idea, considering it would not really need to be carried separately since you can leave it on the Switch most times. Now, they have a bunch of different travel kits. The one I see that seems like a fair price at $20 is the Nintendo Switch Game Traveler Deluxe Travel Case. This is done by RDS Industries. You'll see a very small picture here because they don't seem to have any other stuff on GameStop's site. It's going to be available on the 3rd of March. But based on their description, it looks good. It holds and protects the Nintendo Switch. Looks like just like a standard case that you can kind of hold like a little suitcase almost. But it does have padded dividers to protect the screen. It has like a zippered mesh pocket on the other side for game cards. And it does come with red transparent game cases for your games and for your micro SD cards. And at $20, that's not bad. I've seen much worse go for much more for like the DS's back in the day, so this seems like a fair price. Again, I won't be getting it because my Switch is going to probably stay in my house most times. If I use it portably, it will be like upstairs because of that. I won't be like traveling with it really, unless I end up going to like, I don't know, conventions or something. I have to overnight stay, then the Switch will go with me. You know what, so far I'm actually getting out of this pretty well. I thought I would be spending a lot more money on these accessories, but so far, actually, I kind of go down the line here. One SD card. I might actually spring for a second one at this point. Although I might wait, and if I do, I end up filling it up, because there's a chance I don't actually fill up this SD card because I'm buying more physical than digital. But at $146 for accessories, I've only bought 2 accessories. That's pretty good. Of course, if I add the system in at $300, so let's do that, $300, and then of course I'm buying Zelda at $60. I'm just over $500 for everything, which does seem kind of pricey if you really consider it, but the Xbox One at launch was $500, and I paid that, so I've seen worse. But yeah, I'm curious about what you guys think about the accessories. Is there anything in particular you're buying at launch? Are you getting the charge station? Are you getting more Joy-Cons? Are you getting the screen protectors, travel cases? I'm curious. Let me know, guys, down below. And definitely check out Newswave tomorrow morning. It's going to be a lot of Switch stuff because we got to go through most of the convention, so let me know, guys. I will see you next time.